Hello my car friends and family. We've got somewhat of a different style of video here going today. We're going to be posting a lot of stuff in real time. Now the Charger, my 1969 Charger, my car that's been sitting for 34 years before I got it. And then I drove it on 2019 Hot Rod Power Tour, nearly blew it up and everybody around me. So it was a rough time. The car ran hot, it drove terrible, it was not fun, it was super loud and obnoxious, and it really was a hassle to even have fun. So we've been doing a lot of stuff trying to improve it and make it better. That includes a QA1 full tubular cross member at the front to make it handle, make it stop. We're going to do a lot more stuff today. So these videos will be a little bit shorter just because we're going to be knocking out all the work that we can. Now, the thing is, Power Tour 2022 is in 4 days. We have 4 days to finish everything. Now, I'm going to be making these videos, posting them as they come out, so there's not going to be a whole lot of narration and talking and me standing around and saying stuff. It's going to be me just straight up working. These videos will be short, concise, to the point, and get the job done because we have so much work left to do before we can even hit the road. The car has no engine, no transmission, no front suspension, no brakes, no rear suspension for that matter. It's just a floating hover car right at this moment. So we've got a lot of work left to do. So what we're going to be doing is tackling a ton of that work. And as we go along, we're going to edit the videos, post them up for you guys, and then you'll be able to see it kind of basically in real time. So let's get started. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's going to be multiple videos through this week, and then whenever we go on Power Tour, I'll post a video of a recap from Power Tour after that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I think we're going to have a great time, but it's a lot. It's like midnight right now, and I'm just now getting to the point of being able to finish this video because I'm posting it on Tuesday. Today is, well, it's now actually Tuesday right now, so if you kind of get the gist of how things are going right now. So I'll see you at the end of the video. We'll do a little recap and talk about what's going to happen next, and hope you guys enjoy. Now, of course, with the Wilwood brakes, I wanted to go with a Wilwood master cylinder. This is the exact same setup that I used on my Challenger, and I absolutely love this. Now, this is a 1-inch bore. I'm going to use it for manual disc brakes. Now, I like this setup because you can adjust the proportioning valve right here on the master cylinder. You can buy this alone, but I like to have this all contained in one unit. I mean, it comes with all the hardware. The hard lines are pre-bent. You just got to attach it all. That right there is going to look really good. You have your front end, your rear end, and then this is front out, rear out. So it doesn't matter which one you put the front on, whichever one we can tie, because I already put new brake lines all around this car. So I'm just going to tie them in, make it work, clean it up, and this is going to look awesome, perform awesome, and I absolutely love these things. So I decided the easiest way to get all these assembled, I've got to assemble the hub, assembly, and then bolt it to the rotor itself. I just stuck it inside one of my wheels and then went through the underside, stuck a lug nut or two to hold it still, because if you're going to try and torque this down to like 25 foot-pounds or 45 foot-pounds, it's going to be tough. So stick it in the wheel and it's easier. So we got a little bit of red Loctite, make this not want to come loose at all. And then we're going to set all of these in here and then torque them down to the spec that Wilwood gave us here. Got this magnificent, beautiful rotor here. Drop that in. Perfect. Now we're going to Loctite every single bolt because we don't want any of that falling apart. Check out these beefy calipers. These are from Wilwood and they're 4-piston. As you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Now in the factory setup, the caliper only has one giant piston and it only pushes from one side. This one's got 4 and it pushes from both directions. And what I like about these calipers, it's super easy to change the pads. Once the caliper is mounted to the bracket itself, you pop this bolt right here, pull the pin out, slide it out, and then these pads will just drop in place. Look at that. That is magnificent. I love that a whole lot. Okay, it's gonna be a tight fit, but we'll try it. Well, we've got the rear axle here sitting on jack stands, and what I want to do is clean it up because we still, of course, have authentic Oklahoma dirt that I'm still going to bag up and sell. Now, plan of action here, get all the brake lines cleaned off and get those out of the way in a safe spot, because these are still brand new. And really, that's all I did to this rear end. I had the rears rebuilt, new brake lines, and I didn't touch the springs. The bushings are still original, the shocks were still original. I did put a center section in it after the fact, after Power Tour, and this one's an open 391, so it's still not that great, but it's rebuilt supposedly. So let's start tearing this thing apart, get to work. Okay, wow, bad boy is smooth. Looks like it has 10,000 miles on it when it's only got half that. Golly, look at the stress and heat cracks. This thing has been hot, trying to do all the work of the braking. This one over here too, dang. A lot of stress cracks in that heat. Yeah, that's not good. Well, all of this is new. All of it, I think it was just that the brakes were not gonna do it no matter what you did, which I'll probably keep all this stuff because you can use these brakes on any kind of 3-inch tube diameter for a Mopar. So I'll keep this for some other project and just unbolt the backing plates and keep it all together. Then I'll rebuild the brakes on something else. You know what, I should have done it to the black truck. Okay. This one's still back, yeah, it's all together, but same story. Really bad stress and heat cracks. Looks like it was not even making contact right there, or too much contact maybe. Ton of cracks and heat. Yeah, it was bad. There we go. I'm gonna take the axles out and just go ahead and pull the backing plates. Go. I'll take you off. Oh no, it's glued from dirt. There we go. Look at all that dirt that fell off the back of it. Man. The axle is pretty much cleaned up. Now you're gonna see some rust and a little bit of texture in the surface, and you're thinking, Dylan, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna actually clean that all the way up, finish it? No, I'm not. But I'm also not using just regular old primer and spray paint because I want this coating to last and look good for the duration of its entire life, for as long as I have it. And that's where Poppy's patina chassis armor is gonna come into play. This stuff is serious, and what it's meant to do is coat on, it literally says in the instructions, rusty and seasoned metal, and that's exactly what this rear axle is. I've left some of this rust on here because it says in the instructions, leave some of it on there, because this stuff is going to adhere to this better if you leave a little bit of rust. But this is going to convert it and encapsulate it and keep it from spreading and getting any worse. So this is what it's going to look good, it's going to last forever, and it's going to be a nice glossy finish. Now on top of this, we also got some scuff pads here and a paintbrush to apply it. So what we need to do is just go back over here with the scuff pads here and just make sure we have a good, not necessarily like crazy rough surface, but something for the paint to adhere to. So that'll do that, and then we'll brush it on. So let's get to scuffing and let's get to painting. These are Espo springs, and if I remember correctly, I bought the 1-inch lift from factory. I bought these for the Charger originally, like 4 years ago, I think, when I first did the car, but I ran out of time and I never put them in. Let's see how these bad boys look. They look good. All we gotta do is just swap over the spring perches, the shackles, and get those bushings in, and we're good to go. I broke out a couple of the studs when I was removing the front shackle of the spring perch, so I'll have to just press those out, replace it with a bolt and nut, pop it back in, paint everything, make it look a little bit nicer. And while we're there, we have some QA1 shocks that we'll throw in the rear. It's gonna be good. This car is actually gonna handle pretty well for the first time. Out now. This is an old Monroe-matic that was probably put on here probably in the late, Great Depression era, if I had to guess. And it doesn't really do much for shocks. No rebound, nothing. So we're gonna go with the QA1 double adjustable. So we've got all this nice adjustability as far as making it work as a good shock at about right in the factory location. It'll go up, it'll go down. And what's cool about it is, just like the front, it is adjustable. So you crank it all the way up for a little bit more of a stiffer ride. And when you do that, see the difference? So that's what's pretty cool about it. So you can kind of get the ride quality that you want. So we're gonna pop these in the back, and we're that much closer to getting the rear end back in. We'll set our springs in, and then we'll set our rear axle in. But this is the ticket to making this thing ride good. Nice. Done. In. Car's ready to go back on the ground. These are 1-inch raised leaf springs from Espo, and I really hope that this car doesn't look ridiculous. It's either going to look awesome or really corny. That's a lot. Woo. Wow, that is a lot of, yeah. Look at the wheel. Oh my good lord. Yeah, we're gonna have to lower that. That's way too tall. We gotta get some blocks for that. Jeez. Why did I buy those? I bought those like 4 years ago. I thought they'd be cool, but a little too tall for, which I know they'll settle some, but man, they look goofy. Okay. Anyway. You're a cool kid now. Drift. Look at that drift angle. On the ground. Wow. I swear it's been at least 2 months since this car's been up on the ground. This is nice. So when we get the engine in, of course, the front end will actually drop back down and give us some weight to it. So we'll see how that looks. The rear end doesn't look so bad now that it's off the, the front's off the ground. It's okay. And again, it'll settle. So we'll play around with it, make it work. All right, the car is on the ground. That's great news. It's good progress. We are finally able to move the car around and do what we need to do to make things happen. Now, the next thing we have to do is get the car to where we can test fit the engine, make sure everything's gonna work. I'm a little worried about my oil pan because it's a center sump and I don't know if it's gonna fit with our rack and pinion steering. We've got to figure out the exhaust. We've got to get the fuel system hooked back up. Transmission, we've got to figure out which transmission we're gonna use. I need to find a torque converter. I think I have one somewhere. It's gonna get a lot of work here soon. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. Check in. I'm hoping that we can post on Wednesday for the next part. And like I said, it's just kind of flying by the seat of our pants and making sure something's going to happen. So tune in later. Make sure you subscribe, like if you want to see more. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to go ahead and start working on the car a little bit more. See you guys. Thanks again.